Hi friends, I gave a presentation for ANATS on the weekend about rethinking breathing in singing. And part of that workshop touched on something that still tends to raise eyebrows in vocal pedagogy circles. I'm a strong advocate for strength training for singers. Part of my argument relates to posture and breath management. Singing is physical, breathing is physical, performance is physical. And while I definitely do not subscribe to the idea that singers need to strengthen the diaphragm, I do think that appropriately programmed strength training can support postural alignment, postural endurance, movement efficiency, and overall physical resilience. All of those things can influence how we manage breath and coordination under the demands of singing. So despite long-held claims that strength training is bad for singers, there's actually very little evidence showing that resistance training itself is inherently harmful to the voice. Traditionally, singers have been steered towards yoga, Pilates, stretching, and gentler movement practices. I think this is usually based on concerns about tension, rigidity, breath holding, or becoming like muscular. And look, I do think that those practices can be fantastic, but I also think that some of the assumptions around strength training deserve closer interrogation. Personally, I train 4 times a week and I lift heavy. What fascinates me most isn't just the physical benefit, but the possible relationship between strength training, embodiment, and self-efficacy in singers. In my own research, I explored self-efficacy in vocal learning and improvisation training. Self-efficacy is our belief in our ability to execute tasks, tolerate challenge, and succeed in specific contexts. And that matters enormously in singing. Interestingly, resistance training seems to cultivate many of the same psychological capacities: resilience, consistency, confidence under pressure, emotional regulation, and trust in gradual progress. And I also think the embodiment side of this conversation is hugely underexplored. I work with so many singers who feel disconnected from their body. They have limited kinesthetic awareness, limited proprioceptive awareness. They have difficulty sensing effort, tension, or coordination changes in real time. But strength training demands awareness. It teaches you to notice effort, notice stability, notice positioning, fatigue, recovery, and movement efficiency. So to me, that actually all has important implications for singing coordination, not because lifting weights magically improves technique, but because increased physical awareness and psychological resilience may support the coordination processes that singing actually depends upon. I'd really love to see much more interdisciplinary research exploring the relationship between resistance training, embodiment, self-efficacy, and vocal training outcomes in singers. Maybe because the question isn't, is lifting bad for singers? Maybe the better question is, what capacities might it help singers to develop? Do you agree? Drop your comments below.